What's going on, fam? It's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, Lucky Murray, and I'm back with an exclusive interview with CHHNOW. This brother right here has basically with Christian hip hop now. Our playlist has been on there, I think, for a month and a half. He recently just got off, I think, about 2 weeks ago. But this brother has been making noise in the Christian hip hop scene. One single. And it's been on, Rapzilla, it's been on Trackstars, it's been on all the major Christian hip hop publications, and he has an album that's going to drop on the 31st of this month. I got my man Justin Binnicker on the line with me. Justin, how you doing today, my brother?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you, bro?
Man, I am doing pretty good, man. We was chopping it up offline and before the interview, and I'm so pumped because I love having these conversations off record. But while we on record, man, I'm excited to talk to you about your first album, and it's
It's
called
crazy.
Past, Present, Future, and it's dropping on 31st. So I want to know, man, how does it feel to finally have the album done?
Oh, it's crazy. Like it's a feeling that obviously because it's my first time, I've never really experienced. So it wow, it was such a journey. Like to think that, 8 months ago, I had no idea that I was even really going to be an artist. Like that's the amazing part of this journey is like, for me, it all started out with like God saying like, Justin, take the next step. Like, Justin, like invest in this for real. And, as some people probably may know, like I reached out then to my producer now, Isaac, and the rest is history. So this album is taken about 7 months to create, and you know there was that is this ever going to for real like become a reality? But like it's just amazing that it all came together, and like now reflecting on it and being able to listen to it in its entirety, it's just amazing like to see the intentionality of God. And like like even the minute that like I sent a DM to Isaac to start this thing, like God knew exactly what this thing was going to be like, and like it came together just like exactly as I know God intended. And like that's like to me like the most satisfying thing of all, like to just feel like you've done the work that God called you to do. Like that's it blew my mind.
And to say the least, that it takes 7 albums to take your time to get the album done is amazing. But I want to kind of go back and you talked about the Lord gave you a few months ago, excuse me, to push forward. But at the same time, what was he talking about pushing forward? And my other question is, why did you decide to become a rapper?
Oh no, it's a crazy journey. I decided to push forward music. So it's really funny because I've been reflecting a lot, and obviously becoming in relationship with a lot of different artists in the Christian hip hop community, and really continuing to try to build my network within the space. And a lot of people have been saying, like I've been at this, in my basement since I was like 14, 15, been working for 4 or 5 years to perfect my artistry. Literally, the first time that I ever for real, like picked up a mic and recorded anything was a year ago. And it was literally so my friend came over, and we literally like were like, let's just have fun. And like I had never really done anything, so I just wrote something real fast. We got it done in like 2 hours, and then it came out. We just dropped it like, and it was not good quality. We're very thankful it's down. But like that was just kind of, I thought that because the cool thing that I really saw was even in that moment, even in that space, like God met me where I was at and met other people. And like it became something that people thought was cool, and they even liked the song for where it was at. And so then we made a couple other songs, but I just kind of messed around, did them kind of not low quality, zero budget, just did it for fun. And I just thought that that would just be something that like I would do for, maybe a year. I've been going through a lot of rough stuff in my life. So God kind of was like, yo, be vulnerable with what you're going through, and maybe inspire someone in your sphere of influence, and kind of help them maybe through something. But then I continued to have an even more rough first semester at college, and went kind of through a really, really dark spot, and ended up not having a surgery in December, because I'm actually an athlete. I'm a student athlete at the school that I run at. I run cross country and track. I actually haven't yet because I've been injured, but ended up having surgery in December. And like, it was crazy. Like I got a follow request from Isaac, and then I followed him and listened to his music, and something different. There's just something that felt different about him. And I just kept thinking about it, and kind of pondering about it, and was like, hey God, like something feels different here. Like, what are you stirring? And he commented on my surgery post. And then I was just like, yo, like, I feel like God's calling me to actually do this for real. Like, actually invest in music and actually go for it. And so sent him a text on DMs, and the rest is history. So like the crazy thing is like, and that's what makes this so special to me, because like, I know it's strictly a God call. Like, this was never something that was in the cards for me. Like, I never was like, yo, like growing up, oh, I want to be a rapper. Like, I want to be like this and that, like I literally thought I was restricted to being a jock, like in high school. Like, I was like, yo, like people hadn't actually, when and I started, they're like, yo, like you have a gift. But like, I never thought that I should use that, because I was like, yo, no, I don't sing. Like I play sports. Like I don't do whatever. And so like, the crazy thing is, like, through my testimony, like God showed me like I'm more, and said, yo, like this is what I want you to do. And so like, that's really what was so powerful to me, was just the reality that, yo, like this is strictly something that God intended, because I wouldn't have found this on my own. Like I wouldn't have like stumbled upon, like, this wasn't something that I was like, yo, I at 8 years old, just dreaming, in my bedroom, yo, I can't wait to be Andy Mineo. I can't wait to be Lecrae. Like, no, like I loved Christian hip hop so much. And obviously it's a true blessing that I had a deep connection in music, because God used that to kind of help create my artistry. And so I wasn't far behind. But like, the crazy thing is, like, when I tell you I'm a brand new artist, like a baby, like I'm literally a brand new artist. Like, I decided to actually take music seriously in December or January. And so like, I ended up releasing, that song Vulnerable in March. And so like, that is literally the first time that I've ever really taken any kind of music like seriously. And so like, it's crazy. I've almost felt like I've been playing catch up like this whole time, to like catch up to everyone's, how long that they've been investing. It's like, yo, like I'm literally months into this, and you're like years upon years upon years. And so it's a great blessing that I had. Like, I mean, to have someone like Isaac be your first like true music mentor was absolutely incredible. Like, the dude is, as you know, an incredible artist, an incredible producer, and basically mentored me. Like, everything that I've really learned has been from that man. And all I've done is I've just been like, yo, like I don't have a clue about this. Like, I don't have a clue about music. Like, yeah, I have some natural gift and ability, but I don't really know. Like, and so I've just absorbed. And like, Vulnerable was actually like, Isaac was like pulling me along. And so the crazy thing is, like, the rest of this project, like after Vulnerable, it was such a difficult and really annoying process, to be honest. Vulnerable was such an annoying song to make, because it was just like, yo, I had to learn so much. I had to you know, get through so much hurdles and obstacles to really just get to that level. But like, you know, through all this time, God's intentionally been moving me and stirring me. And really, I've just been absorbing and learning. And so now, like, I've gotten to the point where it's just like, I'm there. And so I'm super, super, super thankful for, you know, that. And again, like, that's truly what makes this so amazing to me, is like, and what makes me, I think, even more passionate is it's like, yo, like, my only intention for this is to serve God and God alone. Like, I literally, like, there was no other plan. There was no other, yeah, like, yo, I want to be famous, I want to be whatever. Like, no, like, the only reason that, because like I said initially, like, my God had called me to speak out about, like, things that were going on in my life, to kind of be there for people and to provide for people in the midst of their, like, suffering and their struggles. And so, like, literally, like, even from the beginnings of creating music, like, the purpose of it was literally to serve God and to change the world, and that alone. And so, like, that's just what's so cool about it for me. So I know that's probably a lot more, even more than you needed, but that's kind of the gist of it.
No. And that's perfect. That's good. And shout out to Isaac Mather, who's a dope artist. He also producer, engineer. He's a very, very talented artist. He just dropped the song, shameless plug, Airplane Mode, which is doing well. It reached over, it's almost at it reached over like 1,200 streams in like a few days. So
yeah, no, I think it's at like almost 6,000 now. And I'm if anyone actually goes and listens to it because of this, I'm the voice recording that gives him a little voice of encouragement going into the final chorus. So yeah, no, so it's been really cool journey. We've become really close friends, bro. Like, it's dope. So.
It's funny, man. We had a debate on Review Fridays, and then everybody was like, I was just like, yo, he's singing on the hook. We're like, oh my God, just on the hook. And he was like, no, he's like, kind of has a snippet. So everybody thought that, you know, you was actually on the song and it was singing. It was crazy, man. But that's great to hear. But one thing that you talked about was that, you know, in high school and also your first year of college, you experienced anxiety, depression, and a little bit of fear. And your album is called Past, Present, and Future. You spoke about it heavily in your album. Talk a little bit about how did it feel to speak about those uncomfortable topics on the album?
Well, I mean, as I said before, like, um, coming into this, like, I knew that was the purpose of making music for me. It was therapy. It was a like, for me, a really big thing that I try to emphasize, especially being someone that has clinical depression and anxiety, I want to actually, and being a runner, I like to make a lot of runner references. So there's a thing that, you know, a lot of runners get before a race, and it's kind of called, like, you know, pre-race nerves, or being pre you know, race anxious. And a lot of runners say without that kind of adrenaline and you know, fear that they have before a race, they probably wouldn't run as well. And so for me, being in a state of, you know, I have had to have the realization that, yo, like, I have anxiety, like, I have depression, like, I'm facing and battling those things. I know that, you know, my God is a redeemer, someone that makes good out of things that are bad, and that's in every situation. And so for me, like, this to me is how I feel like God is using that pain, that struggle, that hardship to actually become a superpower, and something that, because, like, as I've said, and kind of like my if you look at Spotify, my artist bio says that I was a good kid growing up. Like a lot of people say they, you know, come from rough backgrounds, you know, go through a lot of, you know, drug issues and whatever, like I was literally the exact opposite. I was the biggest rule follower. I was literally the Jesus boy to a T, like literally I dated a girl and they called us Mary and Joseph because we were like the like Jesus-y group. Like it was just like, I lived up to that stereotype like perfectly, which I'm regret so much because it really made me feel like I couldn't be myself. And I tried to be perfect and didn't allow God to really use me. But when I experienced my hardships, when I experienced like my failure, like that's when everything changed, because like through my depression and anxiety, I became so much more relatable to other people. Like the issue was I was trying to live up to this perfect standard. And not only could I not live up to the perfect standard, no one else could, and no one could relate to, the feeling of, oh my gosh. And they felt like I was an unrelatable person. So when I faced all of these like difficult trials and tribulations in my life, like all of a sudden I became 1,000 times more relatable to everyone. Like I became people's mentor and, counselor through their issues. And I built the deepest relationships that I'd ever had in my life. Senior year was like the pinnacle for me of like amazing relationships that I'd built with incredible friends that are actually friends that are helping me in my music journey and are people that are kind of behind the scenes working with me on my team. And so like, for me, like, as much as it is difficult, like, I'm not gonna like sugarcoat that, like, it is difficult to talk about the uncomfortable topics, but like, for me, I feel like it's what God's mission is for me, is to break the molds of those things and to really show people that God wants all of us, not just, the good parts, and God wants to use and change us through the dark moments that we experience and encounter. So for me, like, that's as much as like, that's a hard thing to, grasp for some people. Like, for me, that it's almost kind of like my gift. Are you good, bro? Can you? Okay, there we go.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm sorry. I was asking my wife or something. Go ahead, brother.
Oh yeah. So yeah, for me, like, that's just my gift, and I want like people to really learn how that I don't know, like that actually a lot of those things, like I said, can end up being things that can create big strengths from you. And God just really continues to show like the true power of God and the strength that God has. Because a big realization that I came to when going through all of what I went through is that, and what truly changed me is that I'm not defined by any label. I'm not defined by any stereotype, by any box that anyone puts me in. My identity is found in what Christ thinks of me, and he loves me unconditionally, and that never changes. And so, like, for me, like, the minute I realized that, I realized that I'm so much more than all of this. So like, for me, when I put out music about my anxiety, about my depression, about things that I'm battling through, about things that I'm facing, like, that doesn't define me. Like, and I think once you really realize that, like, then you can feel that freedom actually from letting that go, like, and saying that, like, actually, no, in reality, like, God defines who I am. And so, like, I just got to give this to God, and to the people that have most impacted me. And as I said, my first semester of freshman year probably was the lowest place that I've ever been in my life. I was in so much pain, like, every single day. And it was crazy because on the outside and the exterior, a lot of people were like, yo, like, you're doing great. I had a 4.0, like, people had heard about like my success in business. So, you know, I'd done like 2 internships in high school. You know, most people don't do it like big internship with a sports team until, you know, like junior, senior year of college, but I'd already had one. And then I was doing one during first semester of college. So I'd already had 2. And so people were like, from the exterior, they're like, yo, Justin, you're super successful. You're doing great. You're whatever. But on the inside, you know, I was probably only like 60% of myself because I was in so much massive consistent pain because of, you know, the hip that I ended up having surgery on, and all of those things that I ended up enduring. But like what I ended up realizing, you know, through all of that was that, you know, none of that defines me. None of those perceptions define me. None of that. It's what God, you know, God says about me. And the thing that's been the thing that really kept me sane and was there for me at my lowest of lows was music, was Andy Mineo's projects, NF's music. And those places were places where, you know, when I didn't have anyone, like literally anyone there, like Vulnerable is actually based upon a space that I felt freshman year of college, where I went out and literally bawled my eyes out because I was like 2 weeks away from the end of first semester of college, and I was just feeling massive pain and depression and anxiety. And I just gone through a really difficult situation with, you know, a roommate. And I was just like at my wit's end. And I saw I felt like there was no way that I could truly like fix the situation that was at hand, because literally like I was going to get the surgery 2 weeks from, you know, in 2 weeks. And right. But that couldn't fix my immediate pain. That couldn't fix my immediate struggle. So I was just at the lowest spot ever. And the people that were there for me when no one was were, you know, NF and Andy Mineo, and, you know, songs that God used through them to show me that I was okay. And like, even when I felt alone, like, it's okay to feel alone, and that someone is there to cry with me, you know? And so for me, like, all of that really is what culminated and started like my passion for, you know, music, and what made me decide to be a rapper in the first place. And so like, for me, I want to be that for someone else. Like, and that's my sole mission, is to just be there for someone when they're at their lowest place, and to tell them that they're okay at that lowest place. And not only that, but God's actually going to use you and change you more than you can even understand at that lowest place. But you first got to be able to realize that God's okay with you being there, and God's still going to use you right there. And that's something that I feel like the Christian community is so terrible at, is we put on fake facades and covers of all this stuff, because it really is based off of a theology that's kind of rooted in the Old Testament, that says when you do good, you get good, and when you do bad, you're doing bad. And the cool thing for me is, like, because of my situation and my circumstance and my scenario, like, all I did was give 100% to something, and my body failed me. I was senior year of high school. I was supposed to go to state. You know, my coach was training me up, trying to make me the best that I could be. And I gave my all trying to please him. And all I did was end up feigning in a race, which is actually alluded to in one of the songs on the project. I, you know, ended up then getting injured in track the following season, giving my all to it. And So for me, like, I didn't do anything wrong. And so that completely disputed that theology, and just showed me that, yo, like, tearing apart the covers for everyone else, like realizing, yo, like, it is okay to question. And God, like, in my moments of biggest doubt, and saying, like, like it says in Vulnerable, God, do you care? Like, that's where he used me the most, and grew me the most, and truly, like, showed me how big he was. Because, like, the thing is, we get so caught up, especially because of our Catholic root and heritage, of, like, the fact that we think that it's not okay to question authority, and okay to question someone. And what we have to understand is, yeah, because especially in Catholic, like I said, the Catholic origin and roots, they would say it's not okay to question God, and God doesn't want to question you, because they wanted to stay in power, because their power is cemented upon the people believing what they believe, and their power is cemented in what people give them. But God, what we have to understand is, God is powerful regardless of what we think or say. God is the creator of the universe. God did all of this stuff. And so we don't give him anything. Like, there's no benefit of what all we're doing. The only reason that God is so amazing is because, and the only reason that, God invests in us, is because he just loves us so much and cares for us so much. And that's something we couldn't ever deserve or pay back or do anything to benefit him. And so, like, realizing that just shows, like, truly his power. And the moments that I've been able to question and just be straight up with God, like, God, like, I'm feeling like nobody care. Like, do you care about me? Do you care about my situation? Like, God, why did I have to go through all of this stuff that I went through? Like, it will probably never make sense to me. Why am I in the midst of this major anxiety battle? I know that in the midst of that, he's using it, but why am I going through it? And I'll never know that. But the amazing thing is, until I was able to, the amazing thing is, when I asked that question, God was like, yo, you don't even understand how big I am. And just opened my eyes to so much, and freed me from so much, and just allowed me to realize that God loves all of me, like all of me, like the broken parts of me, the, the one that, gets beat by their dad at 2K, even though he uses the, all 80s team. And just, like, he loves every part of us, not just, like, the highlight reel, like, he's not in it for our highlight reels. He's in it for everything. He's in it for a relationship. And so, like, that's why this project is so, diverse in the field, because I just want everyone to know that, yo, like, God loves every moment of you, not just the highlight reel. Like, he loves and wants to use, and actually will use you probably the most in the moments that you're in your darkest spaces, and then will use you when you're feeling good, and then feeling bad, then he'll use you at your heights too. So
Wow. That's definitely amazing. I was laughing because of the fact that, you and your girlfriend was known as Mary and Joseph. I was like, that's crazy, man. To say the least. But the record has 11 tracks on it. Past, present, and future. Your new record that's dropping on 31st of this month, which should probably be, when they see the video, it's probably gonna be today. But talk
exactly.
about the significance of the album being just 11 records.
Yeah, so it's it's hard to talk about, because my family's never been the same since. But my grandpa died of cancer. I think it's about 8 years ago, and he was my best friend, and we did a lot together, and we lived in the same neighborhood. So it was super cool, and he was a pastor, and also was like a hospice type take care person. He worked at a local hospital, and he was just a really big inspiration and influence in my life and everyone else's. Also, just trying to help fight poverty and all these amazing things. So his football number when he played football in high school, and his number that he's kind of known for, is the number 11, and that's since become my favorite number. And so I intentionally wanted to make the album 11 tracks to kind of continue his legacy and give honor to him. And as you know, there's a interlude on there that gives the family opportunity to kind of speak and encourage me. And of course, he wasn't able to be a part of that, so I wanted to try to find a way to really show him some respect and to make sure that he was honored, because he's been a part of this journey too. So,
and that's awesome. That is encouraging, and it's definitely something that we all need. Inspiration to keep us going, and that is a great number and great reason why to have that. My next question is going to be, what is your goal for past, present, and future?
Well, the crazy thing is I've already surpassed my goal, which is incredible. And that goal was for, and I feel like this should be the mission of every artist going in, is if they can impact and change one person's life, and that person can include yourself. And the crazy thing is, I've been sending it to, obviously the people that have been involved in the process and have worked on it, and given them permission to listen to it early. And about everyone that I've sent it to has said that they have been left in tears. And like, for me, like, that's the most amazing thing ever. And I went down yesterday. I went downstairs. My grandma lives with us, and it's the grandma that of my grandpa that passed away. We kind of take care of her now, and I went down and showed her the album. And obviously I wasn't sure about, because obviously that generation doesn't connect as much to hip hop as ours does. But literally, I played her one of the songs, Listen. It's the second song on the album, and she started like legitimately like tearing up. And I was just like, it just like hit me. I was like, oh my gosh, like, God, like, you're so amazing. Like, how? And she's just like, Justin, I've felt this way so much in my life. And she's been through a lot of stuff in her life. Like, she's had arthritis like since her early 20s, been through constant issue after issue after issue, has this really, we're still trying to figure out what it is, but she has dizziness like almost constantly, and it's just kind of really in a rough place. She's gotten a lot better since she's moved in with us, but it's still really rough. So just like, so for me to be able to make music that is connecting to people like that, like, even Isaac said, reflecting after, in the moment, he was kind of on the grind, and so wasn't able to really externalize what he was feeling, but he was like, yo, like, this impacted me, like, this met me somewhere. And so like, just the fact that has already been accomplished is just so amazing. Like, that was the goal for me, is just like, if I can get one text from somebody that said, yo, like, this hit me, that's what I do it for, and that's why I did it. And so like, for me, it's just amazing, because everything else now is just gravy. It hasn't even come out yet, and I've already accomplished that incredible goal. So I'm super thankful for that.
And that's awesome. I think that the main goal should always be to impact one person, and if you can do that and impact multiple people, that's icing on the cake. So you got this album, Past, Present, Future, which is dropping on the 31st. What is the future looks like for this year, next year? What are you planning for after the release of Past, Present, Future?
Well, I'm planning to not be so much in like a mode of catch up. Like the funny thing is, like, we dropped Vulnerable anticipating that a couple months later we'd be able to have stuff out, and so obviously it took a little bit longer than anticipated. So, and it also just like from the beginning it felt like, especially because, you know, like I said, I dropped some things before that kind of like my core group of friends like got excited about it. So I felt like I had to kind of like make music. So like the cool thing is, now that I've created this and it's done, now I have the opportunity to really get ahead of the game and really start making stuff, and then just have it in the vault instead of being like, yo, like I have to get this out now. And so the future is going to look a lot like kind of the generic, unfortunately or fortunately, kind of the single every 1 or 2 months, probably for the next 8 months to a year, just kind of really, because this project was super, super personal to me, and it was super, super amazing. But I also want to be able to have a wide variety of topics covered too, and really currently right now, give whoever's listening to this a kind of a sneak preview in my thoughts and kind of where I'm working right now. I'm currently trying to work on a song about the social injustice that's been going on. I really want to make sure that I really, because it's a really difficult thing for white people right now to really understand how they really should approach this situation, because it's uncomfortable. And so I'm thinking about trying to write a song about really just from a white man's perspective, like how best to like, and from Black friends on how to best write that, but really just intentionally be there and show support and show, you know, even though like we don't understand what's going on, and we never can understand, you know, because we're not Black, that doesn't mean that we can't try and we can't invest, and we can't, you know, because a lot of my Black friends have been saying like, yo, you're probably one of the most important people to this mission, to really making a change, because you are a beneficiary of this system, and people will listen to you if you're outspoken about it. So I feel like I have to be, because, you know, I just, you know, have an extreme passion for people and loving people. And so that's one thing that I'm thinking about working on in the future. And it's got a good concepts to that. There's some specific things that I really feel like God specifically gifted me to talk about in making change in the church community, and really focusing on God being a relational God, and being a God that is calling everyone, and is not restricting everyone. I think one of the biggest problems with the Christian church right now is the fact that people don't feel welcome. Like church is a hospital, a place for broken people, and we're all broken people. And so if one person feels like they're not welcome in the church, which let's just say there's way more than one person, I feel like the church is absolutely failing. And so I really want to fight to kind of help distinguish and differentiate what Christian religion is and what God is. That's a big thing for me, because you know, I've fallen in love with God, and because he's shown me unconditional love and shown me who he truly is. And so like for me, like anyone, and that could be Christian religion, you know, if they're misrepresenting who God is and God's love and God's compassion, like I'm gonna have an issue with it, you know, and I'm gonna fight for it, to make make that known that that's not God's stance. So that's probably just a big thing in the future that will probably be a common theme with me, is just, I really think there's a lot of baggage that we don't even realize, especially people that grew up in the church, that kind of just gets pushed aside. And I want to distinguish who God is and not what Christian religion is, because honestly, I don't believe in the God of Christian religion, because it's a God of judgment, non-acceptance, living in a perception-based world, and just a bunch of, like I said, again, judgment and hatred. And like, think about like, what is the common theme of the majority of wars in our society? It's over religious concepts. And so to think, if you look back and you reflect and say, if I wasn't in a church background growing up, would I be a part of the church because of, just what I've seen from an outside perspective? And, I honestly, a person that I think is in their right mind probably wouldn't be, because it's just a place of divisiveness. It's a place of critique. It's a place of, constant, just like, oh, you're not doing this, you're not doing that, instead of just loving people, loving people where they're at. And that's what God did. He met the woman at the well, the person that Jewish people were saying, stone her, like she's terrible, like she's a terrible person, she doesn't fit up to all these other things. But God stood by her and said, if any of you guys are blameless, like, you're welcome to stone her. And none of them did. So that just, to me, is something that I really want to fight for. And really, I think my big thing is, like, in all of the stuff that I've encountered and went through, like, this is the gospel is something that is saving for everyone, and everyone should be excited about, because, like, it's freedom and liberation for all of us. And so if not everyone feels that way, then there's got to be a problem with what's going on, and how people are doing things. Just kind of a glimpse into what I'm kind of thinking about. But yeah, so that's kind of what the future is going to look like for Justin Binnicker.
Oh man, and definitely we'll keep following with you, CHHNOW. Super excited to hear everything you got going on and got to say. Justin, where can they find you at if they want to get more information about who is Justin Binnicker?
So it's probably by the end of this video, I actually am going to plug this, because and Lucky doesn't even know about this, so he's going to be surprised. But I'm actually starting a independent collective that we don't know exactly where it's going to, kind of what it's going to end up building up to be. But God kind of gave me a stirring, so I answered his bell that he was ringing in my ear. And so I first want to plug that and say, follow at Enhanced Collective. It's what I will be dropping my album under, and Isaac and I are going to be the first two artists to be on it. It's going to be a completely independent label. Probably the best comp that I would give you is Indie Tribe. And so it's not really even a label, just kind of a little collective and mission. My big mission with that, and the reason that it's called Enhance, is because I really think that, and kind of want to change the narrative of what we do as Christians and disciples of God. Convert is a word that I think has gotten really misconstrued and has really diverted us from the true mission of what we're supposed to do. Converting means, changing, correcting, judging, and, kind of condemning and putting someone into a stereotype. And that's at least kind of what Christian religion has done to a lot of people. It's like, if you're not reading your Bible 24/7, if you're not going to Starbucks, having relationship talks, and you're not going to church Sunday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the following Sunday, then you're not a Christian, and you're just kind of you kind of have to live through those motions to do that. And that's kind of what conversion is. But enhancement to me is something that is really bringing what you are and making it the best it can be. And I see it as really what God's calling you to be. Like, what I think is so amazing about this world is how different all of us are. And God intentionally did that for a reason. And just helping people know and realize and recognize that, you know, the guy that's working as a lawyer is serving God just as much as the guy that's the preacher or the pastor, or the guy that, you know, is running his business is serving God just as much and serving his call and purpose just as much as the you know, Sunday school leader. And just showing that God doesn't want to put you in a box. He wants to make you who you were called to be and be the best person that you could be. So follow that everywhere at Enhance Collective. And also follow me on Instagram at Justin Binnicker Music, on Twitter at Binnicker Music, and Facebook, you know, a Facebook page at Justin Binnicker Music. So that's kind of where you can follow me.
Good, man. Good, man. Exciting about the collective. Excited to hear more what you got going on, who you guys going to sign, and tune into CHHNOW.com as we will cover it. And don't worry, Justin, we'll plug all your information down in the below so they can find where you at. But thank you so much, Justin, for everything you do, man. Shout out to the album. Shout out to you, brother. The name of the album is called Past, Present, Future. It's dropping July 31st. And go ahead and either pre-order that thing or go ahead and support it and run those numbers up. Again, it's the entertainer, the motivator, the educator, Lucky Murray here. I'm with Justin Binnicker, man. He's dropping an album and it's going to be dope. Excited to listen to it, man. But we'll see y'all later, man. Until next time, people.